Hi, my name's Kean Wong and welcome to another edition of the new Millionaire. Today we have with us George Tran, the guy who single-handedly programmed OneShoppingCart.com, an internet revolution. The guy that created the system that most internet marketers use for e-commerce solutions. George Tran, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Kean.
Now, interestingly, you retired at the age of 32, right? What did you do after that?
Well, I did what anyone would do, right? I traveled the world. I played a lot of computer games. I just bummed around. Because what happened was I worked a lot. I worked to 12, 16 hours a day, very little sleep. I was working myself to an early grave, and I said to myself, it just wasn't worth it.
You needed a break. That's right.
I wanted a break.
So you made your fortunes. You actually went back to Australia?
Yeah. It's sort of like the analogy is like Luke Skywalker in Star Wars. It was like the journey. The hero's journey, you know, he traveled back, went to Tatooine, and he was changed. So Sydney, where I grew up, was changed as well. I mean, I was the same, whereas I moved on to my journey.
You left Sydney.
Yes.
What age? And you moved to the US to study and work for a while.
I left Sydney when I was 23. Mm-hmm. I went to work for Symantec, and I got my MBA in the University of Oregon. And after I graduated from the University of Oregon, I basically started my entrepreneurship. I had nothing to lose, right? I was broke. I could have gotten a job, but what happens when you get a job is you get tied into it, and if you had an entrepreneurship inspiration, you'd have to make a decision whether to quit your job or to do your entrepreneurship with no chance of failure, right? So I thought to myself, why go through that risk? Why not? I've got nothing to lose. I got a clean slate. The only way to go is up. So that's what I did.
But let's just backtrack a few years, because you had an extraordinary journey even leaving Australia. I mean, you actually came to Australia as a refugee from Vietnam. At what age was that?
I left Vietnam when I was the age of 6. I was literally on my mother's hip when the Viet Congs were kind of rolling into Saigon. And I remember that day very well. And shortly thereafter, we left Vietnam in a little riverboat. We snuck out in the middle of the night, and we didn't even have a map. We were guided by the stars, and we just wandered around for a few days, and we got robbed by Thai pirates. Not just once, but 3 times.
What did you do? Bring out your
Well, it was just a very horrible experience. But what ultimately happened was after the 3rd time they robbed everything, there was nothing left. The pirates decided, we've had enough of you. They took our engine and threw it overboard and left us to die. So we were adrift for about 24 hours, and luckily we were spotted by a West German tanker. And they towed us to Malaysia, and we became refugees there for 3 years.
Oh, that's incredible. And then eventually you got to Australia about 9 or 10. You knew no English.
No English.
And then from there you went to school, and then you just moved from there. I mean, what was your inspiration at the time to leave Australia after just being there for a few years?
Well, it was, as I just said, it's just a journey. And one of the things I remember in my youth was my father. He asked me, what contribution will you make to humanity? And that was a very profound moment in my life, and I thought to myself, yeah, what is my contribution? I've known for a long time that I'm very good at computers. I started programming by myself, actually. I remember wanting to go to my programming course at my high school, and my teacher said, you couldn't do it, you're too young.
So how old were you?
I was about 12 at the time.
12, okay.
So I went out to Tandy Electronics, right, and I got my first programming book, and I went in during lunchtime and after hours, and just figured it out myself.
Love at first sight.
Yes. So anyway, my father said to me that, so I started that quest. That was my journey, and so I started pondering about what did I want? What do I want to do out of life? What contribution did I want out of to give to humanity? So, and I had inspirations, and one of the things that I thought about is, I don't want to leave this earth without leaving a legacy behind. And I looked at different inspirations from people. I remember at the time Mahatma Gandhi, the movie came out, and he really, really moved me, right? He said, here's a man in a loincloth taking on the most powerful empire in the world at the time, the British Empire, and brought the British Empire to its knees. And I said, I want to be just like him.
Amazing. And then from there, but this was IT, you were good at computers. How did you feel like you just had to master that area and make a difference in that area, and then somehow you figure out what your calling is, sort of thing, as well as combining that with making a difference? Because at the time, did you feel you could change the world with computers?
I didn't know what it was. I knew I had a passion for computers, but I had the intent. That's really what it was. I set out the intention of what I wanted to be, and I'll figure it out as I move along the journey.
That's still amazing at such a young age. And from there, you went to the US. You had a job with Symantec, and then you said, let's just forget about that. Let's just start my own. What was your, who gave you the idea of creating a shopping cart solution?
That's a long story. What happened was I had a shopping cart software before that, but then I was going out of business. And I said to myself, hey, look, I got nothing to lose. Why not give it away? So I was the first guy on the internet to give away free shopping cart solutions on the web.
To help people sell things
so
online.
If you don't know what a shopping cart is, a shopping cart.
I'm thinking of these trolleys.
So a shopping cart is something that if you're starting a website and you want to sell something, or you need something to conduct that commerce, add to cart, calculates the total, the taxes, charging the credit card. When I developed that, but it wasn't a very fully developed business. So I was going out of business anyway. So I decided to just give it away, and that was a phenomenal hit. I had so many business customers using my shopping cart solution.
Hundreds of thousands, right?
Yeah,
because at the time, everyone was crazy about building websites.
Exactly.
Right? It was like 96, 97.
It was about 97.
But no one was really providing a turnkey solution.
Well, you had to buy some shopping cart software to install on your server. It was just a mess. It was really hard to get e-commerce enabled for your website. So I said, well, why not make it very easy for an existing website to not have to install any software and plug in to a solution that I provide to enable them to conduct commerce online.
So it wasn't software, it was internet, it was ASP or internet enabled.
It was software as a solution. And what that means is instead of installing some software onto your server, you just configure what you have to sell on our server, and you just connect to it, and you've got a fully enabled shopping cart solution.
It's a much easier solution.
Yes.
And then from there, what else is unique about it? Because I actually use your technology until I met you. So, wow, I get to meet the guy who builds it. An autoresponder. Tell us a bit about that. I mean, for a lot of entrepreneurs out there, the importance of having an inbuilt follow-up system.
Well, as you know, Kean, when you sell something, one of the key principles of selling is communication and follow-up, right? So with what we did was we perfected the process for setting up follow-up autoresponders, so that, say, when you first initially contacted me, I send you some information about my product.
Like an email.
Like an email, exactly.
So I fill out a form of a free newsletter or whatever.
Exactly.
So
and then maybe a week later, I don't hear back from you. You didn't buy from my product. So I say, hey, Kean, are you still interested in my product? So I've set up an infrastructure so that you can send. I can send follow-ups to you, maybe for the next 2 years until you're ready to buy. You may not have been ready to buy when you first contacted me, but the system enables you to contact you regularly.
These are pre-written email systems.
Correct.
Okay.
They're pre-written. So what's the unique thing about One Shopping Cart that I created was it's a e-commerce engine, so that when you're ready to buy, it takes the order, but then it takes you off of the pre-sales follow-up and subscribes you to a post-sales follow-up. For example, the first day you might say, thank you, Kean, for purchasing the product. And then a week later, hey, Kean, how do you like the product? And so on and so on. Maybe even 2 years down the line, we'll still be communicating with you, following up. As you know, out of sight, out of mind with this system, as long as I'm communicating with you. For example, if it's a consumable, let's say tea. Well, if you buy tea, maybe 3 months later, you've ran out of tea, this system will automatically follow up and say, hey, how is your supply? Would you like to reorder?
So it was kind of like an innovation of the shopping cart with marketing concepts inbuilt into it. And with this, hundreds of thousands of people started using it, and then you started charging, and then you sold the business off and made a fortune.
Well, yes.
Okay, phenomenal story. Now, let's go to a break, and when we come back, we'll find out how George actually went from a retired millionaire to someone discovering a way and discovering his calling, his passion to make a difference and to change the world. We'll be right back. Welcome back to The New Millionaire. We're here with George Tran, an internet genius out to change the world. George, you went from retired, you spent some time back home in Australia, but you decided to go back to the US. Tell us about the journey after that.
Well, I went back to the US and I thought Australia wasn't right for me at the time. And then went back to the US and I thought to myself, I'm well provided for myself, and I give to nonprofit organizations. But I thought, you know what, there must be a better way for nonprofit organizations to get off the fundraising treadmill. They're always raising money, as you know, with NTD, right? You're raising money, Maybe there's a better way through using entrepreneurship to raise money so that, both the organization wins and it benefits the community as well.
Social entrepreneurship.
Exactly. So I developed this system called Dingo Daddy. And what Dingo Daddy was it's a classified system. But instead of just paying a listing fee to, say, Craigslist or to your local newspaper, you pay that money to Dingo Daddy and you designate where half of that money goes to, whether it's to your local church, your local school, or any other nonprofit organization that you care for. And this way, it helps perpetuate that money machine for nonprofits so that they don't have to constantly work for their fundraising.
And what happened with that project?
Well, we discovered that we were underfunded. We needed a lot more money to promote the awareness for the system. I was very good at developing the infrastructure, but I didn't have enough funds or raise enough capital to actually get that system going. So we kind of rolled that system down.
Sure, it's not always about getting success after success, right?
Absolutely.
You have to go through the whole process of trying new things, and then that's what
it's a learning process.
Myth. A lot of people think that you become an overnight success, but it's not necessarily the case. So
what I've learned in my years, it's called failing forward and failing forward fast.
Yeah.
So you learn from it, and you learn from your mistakes, and you move forward.
And from Dingo Daddy, what happened? After that experience, what did you do?
As it rolled down, I decided, well, let's just take a break. Let's go for an inspiration. So it was sort of like a sabbatical. So I did various different seminars, internet marketing seminars, and I went to TF Harv Eker, the Millionaire Mindset.
Yeah, that's right.
So I was there, and when I was at the seminar, I was just blown away by the quality of the people sitting in the room. I mean, I learned a lot of great things at the seminar, but I was blown away by the audience. And I thought to myself, I can only network with a handful of people. And at this event, it was like 2,000 people. What if I could contact all these people? And there really wasn't a way, there's an infrastructure for me to network with these people. It was just only the people I could exchange business cards with. So I decided, well, maybe there's a better way to use social network with some sort of networking with the people at a seminar.
What do you mean by social network? Explain that.
A social network is, you're familiar with news groups. You go in and you just chat, you just talk to the people, but there's no real way for you to network with them in a truly deep sense. I mean, we may go to a real estate investing forum online. So you and I talk about real estate, but I really don't know anything about you. What social network means is I can look up Kean's profile and find out, oh, you're Australian too. Oh, you're interested in Star Wars too. So I know about your history, your whatever. And so we can actually network on a much more social basis.
On the internet.
On the internet.
So it's like a MySpace.
Exactly, that's what MySpace defines almost that whole category of social networking.
MySpace, Facebook. But for
vertical markets,
for affinity markets, people who are passionate about XYZ.
Exactly. Whether it's investing in real estate, whether it's personal growth like Tony Robbins, whatever that topic is, you'll be able to network with just those people who've been through that program.
And have shared the same experiences, and you can find people and network with them online and offline sort of thing. So from that, I mean, how did you discover, using this experience that you had before with this new technology? How is that going to change the world and create the new dream that you've developed over the last few years?
I'm developing a system called i360, and that's going to be doing that. But as I did that, I connected with Michael Gerber, and
who we've had on the show before.
Yes, he's a fabulous gentleman, and he helped me. Inspire me to get reconnected with that dream I set when I was young, when I was 16, when my father asked me that initial question, what impact did you have that you would want to leave the legacy behind? And it started me to think, I really have a passion for children's education. I mean, Frankly, I've been through the whole gambit. I've got an MBA. I did very well at school. I've got a university degree. But I found out that it didn't teach me anything about real life. It taught me how to be a worker. So I thought, why not pass on this sort of education to the younger generation? Imagine what would happen if you could learn from Tony Robbins, Robert Kiyosaki, when you were 14, 16, and be able to imagine learning how to invest in real estate and get your first deal going by the age of 20, right? Make $20,000 to $50,000 on your first deal, and then go to university. Imagine how easy would that be, rather than having to struggle, and better still, learning the skill to be self-reliant, building businesses, inspiring other people, being a leader, as opposed to learning to be a corporate dog.
So businesses with meaning and purpose, kind of like what Gerber, when he was on the show talking about his new book, Awakening the Entrepreneur, kind of like more so awakening the enlightened entrepreneur within. Do you really believe that everyone can be an entrepreneur?
Well, I believe that there is an inspiration within every single person. And Deepak Chopra says it best. It's your calling, your dharma. What is your true calling? It may not be entrepreneurship, but what I want to do is to provide an infrastructure, a facility for people to discover that perhaps that is an option for them, because the current education system does not have that available. It just says, I want to be an accountant, I want to be a policeman. And that's what it teaches you. It doesn't have any option to be, I want to be an investor, I want to be a leader, I want to be a dreamer to inspire new corporations.
So like Facebook actually started by high school students, right? Because they have a lot of time, they network on the internet and chit chat, create blogs and put their videos up. Are you saying kind of like a Facebook where you also bring in all these experts who teach people about entrepreneurship and communication skills and investing skills and all these other skills, and using the technology of one shopping cart and this sort of online social network and bringing that to the masses sort of thing? Is that kind of what the new project you're working on?
Well, that's a stepping stone in my journey. Actually, what I want to do is to start that, to network with all these gurus and bring these networks together. But my eventual vision is actually starting schools, physical schools around the world, to teach, where people go to technical colleges to learn trade skills. You go to the Entrepreneurship Institute to learn entrepreneurship skills, to be a true entrepreneur, to be a leader, to be a communicator.
Fascinating. Let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll explore this I360 or guru space, is another way of calling it, when we come back. And welcome back to The New Millionaire. Now, George, your mother, interestingly, is a dim sum chef, and not just any dim sum chef. She's apparently a masterful dim sum chef.
Well, I don't know if you realize, of course you do. In Chinese culture, it's very rare for a woman to be a professional, right? My mother not only became she started off as a kitchen, dishwasher, right? And she trained herself up. She found a master, and she trained. Actually, she was acknowledged to be a student and was apprenticed to be a dim sum chef, and a damn good one. And I actually, when I was younger, worked as a kitchen hand as well to help her. So she's an incredible inspiration for me. Every time, the story, the song Bette Midler, "The Wind Beneath My Wing." Every time that song comes out, I think of my mother, and it brings a tear to my eye.
Absolutely, it's so important to have supportive parents and a role model. From that experience of understanding the whole importance of finding a master, a teacher, and that apprentice type thing, obviously that contributed you wanting to help bring the experts of the world, the gurus, the experts in their fields, the authors, the seminar speakers to the wider audience. Tell us a bit about your guru space that you're working on.
So I went to the Harvard seminar, as I said, and I found that the quality of the people was fantastic, but there was no infrastructure for people to network and connect with each other. So with your guru space, it's a private social network for individual gurus, like you said, Tony Robbins, Robert Kiyosaki, even Michael Gerber.
Michael Gerber, yeah, exactly.
And you can have a social space where people can network with each other, find each other by profession, find people by area. Let's say I'm trying to make an infomercial. I can go into this networks private to, say, Michael Gerber, and then say, I'm looking for somebody who does infomercial, who lives in Oregon, and find people locally, and then you can network with those people, the graduates from that program. And it's just a great way for people to communicate and get connected and keep the flame alive after the event.
Because what often when you go to seminars for 2-3 days, that's it, rah, 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 and then you forget everything.
Absolutely.
But with this technology, what have you inbuilt into the system?
Well, the technology allows the guru to continually have post-seminar education. For example, every 3 days, every week or so, Michael Gerber or Harv Eker could say, hey, remember to do blah. Keep that energy going, keep it, sustain it, and remind people to come back to the site, connect with other people, so your mind is still engaged in the things that you learned at those seminars.
So it's like a time-released digital e-course or something.
Exactly.
You get an email and you click on it and you watch a video of whoever.
You can have a Gerber minute, for example. So Michael Gerber comes on and gives you a 1-minute inspiration about business. That kind of thing.
So there's nothing else like that? And why can't someone go to create a MySpace group or a Facebook group and connect with people that way? It's free as well.
It's free, but the thing is that is built around a social network with no e-commerce background. I took advantage of my knowledge with One Shopping Cart and commerce, and I built a social network as well as a e-commerce engine behind it, so that it works both as a benefit for the members as well as the organization as well, so that they can actually have a membership site combined. It's first of its kind, a social membership website.
And there's also a benefit to the people. For example, I read on your website where they can refer people, and there's a viral system.
Oh, this is phenomenal. So imagine if you sign up for yourguruspace.com, and we have an infrastructure for you to upload your Outlook database. You can enter your Gmail username and password, and our system will spider with your permission and get all the email, username, and password of your friends, and then invite them to join the social network as well. But what's more important is if any of your friends buy a product from Michael Gerber or Harv Eker or whatever, whoever uses our system, right? We have the infrastructure built in so that it tracks all the commissions. So in other words, Kean, if one of your friends upgrade and buy one of a seminar or whatever.
So it doesn't have to be on the internet e-commerce product. It could be if they attend a seminar or a coaching program, you can track everything?
Exactly. So it's completely tracked, and it will pay you a commission for
just referring someone.
Just referring your friends that you would have referred to anyway.
But let's say I'm a bit uncomfortable because I don't want to be making money out of friends. Can you send them to the website where they can get a free membership or whatever?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's totally up to the guru to control what type of access it is, and invariably there'll be a free access, a free social network where you can just do basic stuff, and if you want the coaching program or whatever other program that teacher has, then they can set it up for a special higher price upgrade.
So it's really the best of internet education combined with offline education, because the part of the way to drive traffic to these websites is what? Like you mentioned secret treasures. What do you mean?
I call it the hidden treasure technique. Imagine you read a book from Michael Gerber or Robert Kiyosaki or Tony Robbins.
Yeah, the tens of millions of books out
all
there,
those. And then in the book they embed a hidden treasure. For example, for a sample contract that has made me millions of dollars, come to my website and download it. Or a sample report of the 10 things not to do when you're starting a new business, or whatever that is, right? So you give people a reason to come to your website, the social membership website. So when they download, in order for them to download to get that free ebook, now we go into that viral component of asking the members to refer all their friends.
Refer, it spreads
so
out,
now
like MySpace spreading out.
Exactly. So now instead of that one-for-one response rate where somebody reads your book, they go to your website, get that download, you have that one lead. Our system now magnifies it, right? Now you have one, that person may refer 3 and 3 and 3. Before long, you have hundreds of people from that one single client.
Interesting.
And you can do that, for example, also when you go into a press event. Maybe you go on a television event or a radio event. You can say something like, I got a free present for your audience. I've got a free report that you can come to my website to download. So now, same thing, you generate responses from press coming to your social networking website, and it viralizes out. So instead of getting just a one-to-one response, you get a one-to-many response.
How will this tie into your bigger, longer-term vision of changing the education system, inspiring new entrepreneurs who have a purpose in their business, not just about money, right? Like the show, the New Millionaire is not just about money, but about helping people discover their passion. How is this going to help you with your vision?
Well, one of the things that I found is that, especially with Chinese, they're very pragmatic. You know what I mean? So Chinese.
You're Chinese, or
I'm Chinese, and so what happens is parents would tell their children, you know, they've been maybe really aspiring pianists, or you know, they're good at dancing, whatever their passion in life would be. But the parents would say, you know, you can't do that. You ought to be a doctor or a lawyer. You know, the standard professional training. So they force the children to squish their dreams and pursue what they think society wants. Invariably, what happens is these people grow up to be very dissatisfied with their life. You know, the dream unfulfilled. And I think that if they were able to pursue their passion and live in their dharma, I think the world would be a much better place.
Oh, absolutely. I think if you asked 100 people, 95 will say, if I could quit my job, I probably would. So you're saying by helping people discover their calling, learn life skills, entrepreneurial skills, they can make a living out of whatever they make.
Whatever that is. And whatever, it may be just a little thing that could change the homeless, feed the hungry. But one of the things that I discover also is, while you may have a passion, one of the things that I want to teach people is, a lot of people say, well, I want to help single moms or what have you. And they create a nonprofit organization, and they basically, it's another organization designed to beg for money. And I want to inspire people to make a difference, yet be self-sufficient, so that it's an enterprise that perpetuates by itself without, you know, there's so many nonprofit organizations out there, we don't need another one. We don't need another person to, you know, it's just, anyway, I just want to have an empowered entrepreneurship rather than...
And an enlightened entrepreneur, they can make a social difference as well.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for joining our show.
Thank you, Kean.
You must come back and we'll hear more about your new ventures.
Thank you.
And that's all for another edition of The New Millionaire. My name is Kean Wong. Take care and we'll see you soon.